All right, well, let's see if we have action. Let me just try to get the screen here to show. Hang on a second, everyone. Just going through a couple more technical items to get set up.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, well, I'd like to start to welcome everyone to the webinar today. First of all, thanks for coming. This is Dennis Kay coming to you from Remax Southwind on the beautiful island of Ambergris Caye, Belize. This here is a picture of the island. Isn't it gorgeous? You can see the barrier reef there toward your lower right-hand side of the screen. San Pedro Town is there, the beautiful open San Pedro Lagoon, and right on over to the west side of Ambergris Bay, and you can even see Leonardo DiCaprio's island out there, Blackador Key. This is just a beautiful picture that I like to start off with. And just allow everyone just a few more minutes to get on. I know I'm starting just a minute or two early, but thought I'd just get on, try to test out the system. If everyone can hear me okay, let me know. I appreciate that. All right, let me just do a little test for the microphone. Excellent, very good. All right, well, this is Dennis Kay. I call this particular webinar the Cobb Salad of investing in Belize. Why Cobb Salad? Because most salads tend to leave you feeling hungry just a few minutes after you eat them, but not the Cobb Salad at the Blue Water Grill, my favorite restaurant in San Pedro Town. This Cobb Salad is not only tasty, but full of avocado, bacon, egg, chicken, fantastic dressing and blue cheese that will keep you feeling full for the rest of the day. And so that's what I'm hoping to do here with this webinar, not just to give you some fluff information, but I'd like to have you leave here after the time we spend together feeling that you've actually learned something and that you feel full of knowledge regarding Belize and the opportunities that exist here. What I like to call this my island life. My wife and I were born and raised in Michigan and had enough of cold Michigan winters and driving in the ice and shoveling snow and dealing with that and only having a few months of summer to enjoy boating and snorkeling and different things like that. So we moved down to Belize, well, over 11, 12 years ago now, and spent a good amount of time on the mainland. I traveled that extensively, but eventually decided to set up our home on Ambergris Caye. And from these photos, you can see why. I am working with the team at Remax Southwind. This is a picture here of our office. So if you're coming down in the next few weeks and want to pop in and say hello, this is a shot of our office. It's right across from Tropic Air. So when you land in Tropic Air, look to your right and you'll see our office there. And if I look a little familiar to you, you might have seen me on TV. I've done several shows with HGTV. I've done House Hunters International, and I've also shot several episodes of a show called Live Here, Buy This with Them. We showed several properties in both of these shows on the mainland of Belize, the Kyle District, Belmopan, other areas. And then, of course, their favorite, the crew's favorite place to shoot is on the island of Ambergris. So, of course, we showed several homes, condos, properties there. And also, I work very closely with Big John Turley and the radio real estate guys. You might have seen John speak live at events in the United States or other parts of the world regarding investment opportunities in Central America and the Caribbean. John is the CEO owner of Remax Caribbean and Central America, and he speaks a lot about the benefits of investing offshore, and also he works a lot with the radio real estate guys, and we do quite a bit of work with them regarding their projects in Belize. If you haven't seen them yet, go to their website, check out the real estate tours that they offer on the island. This is especially good for accredited investors who are looking to invest for cash flow, so something I highly recommend. And also finding Robert Kiyosaki. John and I have had the privilege of meeting Robert several times and had him on the island a few years ago. Showed him around at some of the projects that we're involved in. And interestingly, you know, Robert grew up in the islands of Hawaii, and he said when he came to Ambergris Caye, he said, "I never knew a place such as this still existed." So you know, pretty good accolades for our little island, just a little place that we like to call home. And we got to show them several of the projects that we're currently developing. So in this webinar, okay, enough about that. In this webinar, here is what you are going to learn. You're going to learn, first of all, reasons why people buy offshore, and in particular Belize. Now you might be saying, I don't really care why people buy, I care why I want to buy. Well, that might be true, but there are 7 reasons why people are buying real estate right now in Belize that you should be interested in. We're going to talk about that more in a bit. We're going to cover some things that you must know before investing offshore, some of the nuts and bolts regarding owning property in a foreign country. We're going to talk about a few different types of investment vehicles, different ways that you can invest in Belize. And then we're going to talk about my favorite topic, tax minimization and asset protection. These are very, very important topics for my clients. They're looking to invest somewhere that does not have the same tax structure as they're used to in the States and Canada. They're looking for higher returns, better returns, and also a way to protect their wealth and protect their assets that they're accumulating for themselves and their family. So those are the things we're going to touch on today in the webinar, and of course give you opportunities to ask questions as well as make comments as we go through. Now, here's just a little thing. This is just me on the webinar today. I have no one assisting me, but if you would, please go ahead and in the text box below, type in any questions that come to your mind as you go through the webinar. So it could be a question relating to a topic that I'm talking about, a question relating to something you'd like to do or see in Belize, whatever it is. Type the question in the text box below, because after these webinars I get a transcript of them, and then I can follow up with you individually. What I don't have time to do is to answer questions as I go through. I find that it's kind of distracting for me. I can't talk and give my presentation, also try to read and answer questions at the same time. But toward the end of the webinar, I've accumulated what are some of the most commonly asked questions that I get. Maybe you have the same ones, and I'll be answering those. So please stay on to the end, because most likely any question you have I will be getting to, but if I haven't, I promise you I will be following up immediately afterward. So first of all, reasons why people buy, or I like to say, what are they running from? You know, almost everyone who emails me, calls me, Skypes me, walks into my office and says, Dennis, I'm interested in property in Belize. They are running from something, not necessarily to Belize, but something else in their life that they're running from. It could be they're looking for a quality of life that is different than they have now. Here are just a few examples I found in photos that sort of describe things well. A lot of my clients are looking for a more peaceful lifestyle because the one they're in now is very hectic. Perhaps they're on the road a lot, they travel a lot for business, they live in a larger city. They're looking for that island paradise, somewhere to swing in a hammock and enjoy a cocktail or beverage of choice. So they're looking to escape from stress. Maybe they're looking to escape from a certain weather that they just don't particularly enjoy. Like myself, I didn't enjoy living in the cold and snow and driving on roads such as these. And some are actually just running from stress in their life caused by family, bad relationships, other problems that they're experiencing, and they're using Belize as sort of a new start, a new chapter in their life, a refreshment. And I get a lot of people telling me that they're actually, looking to Belize to sort of give them something that they don't have right now. One of the things that they're also looking for is for a retirement place. Now, a different kind of retirement than perhaps your parents or grandparents or even great-grandparents enjoyed. I think this photo is pretty funny. Back in the day, growing up, I thought this is what retirement was all about. Growing old in the front porch swing. It's not the case anymore. Baby boomers are retiring more wealthy, healthy, active. They're looking for more of an active retirement, a place that they can bring the kids and grandkids. Belize offers that, so they're very interested in that. Embers Key offers fishing, diving, opportunity for hiking, all sorts of activities. And people are buying offshore because many times the offshore location offers them better opportunities to enjoy the fruits of their labor than simply buying a vacation home in the United States or Canada. So many people are coming to me looking to buy property now so that they can use when they eventually do retire, whether that be 5, 10, 15, or 20 years down the road. Another reason why people are buying is because of the financial incentives. Now, one of my favorite quotes by the radio real estate guys is, live where you want to live, but invest where the numbers make sense. So what I tell people is, look, you can look at Belize of one of two ways. Number one, if you like it personally and you can see yourself vacationing there, spending several months a year there, retiring there, that's fine. That's one aspect of Belize. But number two, Belize is an incredible place to invest no matter if you personally like the country or not. So what I'm seeing is most of my sales, about 80 to 90%, are to investors or people looking to park some cash somewhere, looking to diversify their portfolio. They're looking for a place that has more choices, better returns, excellent tax advantages, and opportunities. I'll be honest with you, about half of all my sales are people that have never even been to the country before. Now you might say, well, that's kind of crazy. I would never buy property that I haven't been to the country yet. Well, that might be true, but I imagine many of you own stocks or bonds or mutual funds, and you probably have never visited the actual companies that you have invested in. You are just buying based on your research, based on the numbers, and you are investing in what makes sense. Well, Belize makes sense. And I can provide you with enough data, pictures, video, stats, comps, whatever you need to show you that we have opportunities here. So whether or not you choose to come to Belize, vacation, or retire there, many people are buying strictly for the financial incentives. So all of that together, those are reasons that add up to what we consider a very good, stable, booming market in Belize, because it's not just dependent on one certain aspect. You know, if we were just dependent on tourism, then occupancy rates would be the driving factor. We're not. Our economy in Belize is based, yes, on tourism, but also on baby boomers, retirees, an exodus of capital for the United States, people looking to invest, and also because they're scared. They're looking for a plan B. Not everyone is, but many of you who are coming to me say, look, you know, I'm really concerned about the state of the United States right now. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't have a crystal ball, but to protect me and my family, I'm looking to move some of my cash outside the United States and get it into a different market. What are they afraid of? Well, number one is the U.S. debt. It's no, it's no secret that the U.S. continues to go deeper and deeper in debt every single day at an unprecedented rate. This is a snip of the USDebtClock.org that I just took a few days ago. The national debt at this time was $18.2 trillion, which, notice, works out to be a debt per citizen of $56,000 and a debt per taxpayer of $154,000. So here's a, in case you couldn't see those numbers before, I zoomed up a little bit to make them even more scary. But you know, this is the reality. I don't make this stuff up. And whether or not you believe that the economy is good, bad, if you look at the future in a positive way or a negative way, you know, these numbers are what the numbers are. And it's numbers like these that are causing many people to rethink where they hold their investments, and they look for opportunities where they can get a higher return, a better return, and also shield it from possibly higher taxes in the future. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, take a look at this chart. This is a history of U.S. taxes since 1916 to the current date, and you can see that U.S. taxes have fluctuated both in federal income tax and capital gains taxes. We don't even have the state taxes on here, but notice that you know, in the years following World War II, we had a tremendous tax rate, all the way up to almost 90%, 95% tax rate in those years, 1956, you know, through the early 60s, and then notice how taxes greatly dropped off. You know, we complain today about paying taxes. I know I do. Even as an expat, yes, I have to pay taxes, but none of us like to do it. The reality is we pay less taxes now than ever before. Do you think those will stay low? With the increase in the national debt, with the lowest taxes that we've paid now, almost in the history, most recent history, we can see that taxes will go up. When they do go up, how will your investments fare? Will they be taxed more or less? Will your income be taxed more or less? Will your retirement be taxed more or less? I tend to think that it will be taxed more. So it makes sense to get some of those funds into an area where you shield them legally from such taxation. So up till now, this is what we have discussed in our webinar. People are buying offshore, and many of them are choosing Belize because of these reasons. Quality of life, they want to own a vacation home or retirement home either now or in the future. Investors are coming looking to diversify, and because they're scared, they're looking for a plan B. So what this translates to all of my clients buying, no matter what your particular reason is this creates a good climate of investment. Because what you don't want to do is buy a property that only you like and that no one else does, because if and when the time comes to sell, you won't be able to sell it, and then you're stuck. I'll give you one example before we move on. I had a client of mine move to the Kyle district of Belize up in the mountains. This home was beautiful, beautiful views. He built it just the way he wanted it, absolutely stunning. The problem was it was in the middle of nowhere, and he lived there for 10 or 15 years, and then guess what? He wanted to sell out, move back to Canada, so him and his wife asked me if I would list it. And the price that he had on it wasn't bad. It was like 450 or 500,000 for this gorgeous home. The problem is, I told him I can't find a buyer for you because no one's going to want to pay you 500 grand, $500,000 for this beautiful home because it's your dream. You put it in the middle of nowhere, and no one else has the same dream as you. So no one else is going to fork over $500,000 for your home. What they would do is go buy their own raw piece of jungle and build their own dream home the way exactly they want it. So to avoid things like that, you need to buy in an area where people do feel comfortable in buying, where there is turnover, where there are tourists coming, where there is other things driving the market. That's why I personally am bullish on Ambergris Caye, because it has those things. Now, oops, let me just go back a little bit. Let me see. Okay. So why are people choosing Belize? Well, again, you have to think. If I'm a person in the United States and I'm just starting to research other countries to invest in, the number one thing that's important to me, and I know because I went through this process when I invested in other countries and when I moved, is which countries speak English. Now, it's not that I'm opposed to learning other languages. However, I grew up in Michigan and I was never taught a second language. And so languages are very difficult for me. And I knew that I wanted to do some type of business in the country that I was moving to. So English was really important to me, not just that they spoke English in that country. Like I can go to the DR in Panama, Costa Rica, and find pockets of English-speaking people. I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for a country whose official language was English. And here's why. It gives me the opportunity to communicate openly and freely with anybody, especially when it comes to doing business. So for instance, real estate contracts, those are in plain English. I can read those myself without having them translated. Legal documents, when I go to set up a bank account or get a credit card or deal with my closing company or lawyer, attorney, even doctors and hospitals, all those aspects of life that we normally engage in are much easier to do when those are in English. And even such things as the local newspapers, websites, and social media. I'll give you an example. My wife and I are fairly young, but we've had a few health issues that we've had to deal with, and when we've had to go into the to the local hospitals and to get some treatment, it was very comfortable for us during a stressful situation because we were having surgery to be able to sit with a surgeon, anesthesiologist, the hospital staff, and actually communicate in English and view the paperwork and do the sign-offs and the transactions all in a language that we are comfortable with. Now, I spent some time in France. I've had to do something similar here with the banking system and the medical system here. I tell you what, it's not the same. Believe me, it's not the same. So because of this, more people are attracted to English-speaking countries that are close to the U.S., and there's not very many of them. There's a few islands in the Caribbean. There's one in South America called British Guyana, but that doesn't really get any sort of, it's not really on people's radar. It's not what they're looking for in a destination. So Belize, being the only English-speaking country in Central America, gets a majority of the attention. Now, the second thing that should be important to you is the government of the country you're looking to invest in. Is the government stable? Is it pro-investment? Does it protect the property rights and the rights of those expats who are moving there? Well, I'm happy to report that Belize does have a stable democratic government. It's a two-party system, and you have the PUP and the UDP, and their prime minister is elected. It was part of Great Britain because it was British Honduras, and it's still part of the British Commonwealth, even though they have their independence. But the Belize government is very pro-investment, and they're making good decisions, very good decisions to lure people down into the country, giving such incentives such as the QRP program, which is a Qualified Retired Persons Program. If you want more information on that, email me and I'll send you a nice PDF that I created. They're also very, very protective regarding property rights. Let me just kind of flick over to that slide. Here's an actual picture of the land certificates that were issued when we buy property in Belize. Doesn't matter if you buy a piece of vacant land or a condo or a single family home. When you own the property and you have a land certificate such as this, then you have 100% property ownership rights. This is not a lease, a long-term lease like you would get in Mexico or other countries. You actually have physical title, fee simple title, and you are as much protected as a property owner as a natural-born Belizean. Now, here's something very, very interesting as well. People sometimes ask me about title insurance. Can I get title insurance? Well, here's the thing. You can get title insurance, but it's redundant because in Belize, the government backs up the titles themselves. In the United States, they don't do that. In the United States, the government does the legwork and the grunt work and issues title, but they don't guarantee their work. So you have to get title insurance. In Belize, the government runs the title search, they run the background check, and when they issue a title to a new buyer, they back it up, 100% guaranteed. Another reason why Belize is getting the majority of the investment dollars leaving the U.S. is because of the proximity. Let's go back to this slide for a bit. It's very, very easy to get to Belize from the U.S. and Canada. Many major airlines fly direct from such cities as LA, New York, Miami, Houston, Dallas, they say Atlanta, Charlotte. More and more cities are being added all the time. I think Chicago now is being added. Makes it very easy to get to Belize, and people have a nice comfort level because it is a nice tropical location. And also, if they plan to retire to Belize and sort of run an online business or keep in contact with people back home in Northern America, it's on the same time zone. So it's very easy to communicate with family, friends, business owners, other things like that. So for these four important reasons, people are telling me they are choosing Belize over other such countries such as Costa Rica, Panama, Dominican Republic, and so forth. Being English speaking, having a stable government, and let me just touch on this one more time because this is important. Some of you are emailing me, and the first email I get from you is asking about a property. And that makes sense because obviously you're on property websites. But to me, it doesn't matter if this 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo has granite, or if this lot is 75 by 75 feet or 100 by 60. Those are good questions, yes. But better questions to ask is, am I protected as a property owner? What is the government like? Have they ever had an uprising, a coup, a civil war? The answer in Belize is no. And these are the questions that are important because it forms the foundation for which to build on. The proximity of the country, the protective property rights. This is what forms the solid basis that allows you the opportunity to own property in Belize and be confident in that ownership. Now, this is an important subject, taxes. Everybody loves taxes, right? Come on, I know you do. Love to pay taxes. Well, if you don't love to pay taxes, then consider some of these points regarding Belize. Belize is a tax haven. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, take a look at this. Belize has very low income and business tax. It has zero capital gains tax. So if you buy a property for $50,000, sell it for $100,000, you make $50,000 cash profit. Guess how much the Belize government takes? Zero. Zero capital gains tax. Isn't that awesome? Wish it was the same in the U.S. It also has very low property taxes. On a vacant piece of land, you're looking at $75 a year in property taxes. If you have a nice, say, 1,500 square foot home built on that property, you're maybe looking at $200, $225 US per year in property taxes. Now, if you own a business or if you have some rental income, it gets even more interesting Businesses are taxed sometimes between 5, 7, 10% of your income. And other aspects of Belize are just as interesting, especially when it comes to rental income. Now, take a look at this slide for a minute. Let's take two, what I would say, equally valuable condos with pros and cons being in each. On the left-hand side of your screen, you see a condo at the Grand Caribe project, which is 1 mile north of San Pedro town, right in the ocean, overlooking the Barrier Reef. You can get a condo there, direct ocean front for $450,000. Property taxes, $285 per year. Now, a 10-year ownership on that condo is going to be just under $3,000 in taxes. Insane, all right? So look at a comparable condo, oceanfront, in a high-rise in Miami, Florida. 2-bed, 2-bath, about the same size, $450,000. Property taxes, $5,000 a year. 10-year ownership there is going to cost you over $50,000. So I know Miami is a lot different than Belize, but both overlook the ocean. Both are condos. Both provide the opportunity for investment and for rental income. One, you're going to be paying over $5,000 a year in taxes. The other, $285. So which would you rather have? Well, look at the tax savings you get. Also, let's go back up there. Oh, I forgot something. I wanted to explain something. If you were to rent these condos out, so you rent out the condo in Grand Caribe, guess how much your taxes are on the rental income? 1.75%. So you rent out that condo for $400 a night, you pay what, about $7 in say 2, 4, 6, yeah, say $7 in property taxes, or not property income taxes to Belize government. How much do you think your income tax would be in Miami, Florida when you rented out that condo? A lot more. So let's go on. What I also like about Belize is there are actually areas where you can find good opportunities, because everything is not scrubbed clean, prettied up, completely developed, everything's set in place. Belize is a developing country, and the island of Ambergris Caye is developing. With development comes opportunities for investment. If I go to buy a oceanfront home in Palm Beach, Florida, next to Trump's house, I'm going to be paying top dollar, because everything around me is already established, scrubbed clean, prettied up, and I know exactly the area I'm buying in. With Belize, what I suggest you do is look for opportunities where there isn't all of that infrastructure in place yet, but make sure that you're buying in a place where the infrastructure is coming. So look for opportunities in the path of progress, new areas that are opening up, new resorts that are being built, new towns that are being formed. Look for areas that the government is pumping in money into roads and electricity and water and sewer, those types of things, because it gives you the opportunity for growth to grow along as the other thing comes into place. And finally, something I haven't talked much about, because it's what I consider the icing on the cake, but it really is the Belizean people. There are no us and them mentalities going on in Belize. You find that Belize is a melting pot of people. You have Chinese, Mennonites, Garifuna, just all sorts of people living together side by side in unity in Belize. They welcome foreigners. When you go to Belize, you notice there are no gated communities. You find that there's no need for them. And if you go to Jamaica, you're going to find a place where the tourists are with a nice fence around them, and the place where the locals are. You don't find that in Belize. Belizeans are very, very friendly, and anybody who has been to either the mainland or to Ambergris Caye would tell you the exact same thing. So let's just take a brief 30-second overview of what I feel are the main important points that you should be getting so far from this webinar. Number one, English is the official language. Number two, they have a stable government. Number three, they are very close to the US and Canada, making it easy to pop down for any reason. Number four, you're guaranteed secure property ownership. Number five, a favorable tax structure. Number six, full of opportunities if you buy in the right area. Let me just put that caveat out there. And number seven, the friendly and sincere people of Belize. And finally, After all those things are established, here's what you get to enjoy when you actually come down and spend some time on the island, either owning property there or retiring there. Dilson, he's my fishing guide in the upper left. That's an amberjack, I believe. Beautiful fish. We go catching here. We don't go fishing. Upper right-hand corner. That's a picture that Michael Melford took, a photographer for National Geographic. Took that when we were out snorkeling one day. That's Holchan Marine Reserve. That's just off the coast of Ambergris Key. Trevor making an absolutely tasty watermelon martini. We drive golf carts on the island. So lower right-hand corner, you don't see many cars there. Cars generally are not permitted for private ownership. They're more reserved for business owners and taxis, but they do give permits to residents for golf carts. So this is what I've been driving around on for the past 9 years. And of course, excellent food. Good locally made food. You can't beat it. There's a picture inside Ruby's, which is right on the ocean, right downtown San Pedro. Just an amazing, amazing place to live. So with that all being said, I promised that I would give you some different investment vehicles or kind of explain a few things when it comes to investing in Belize. To do that, you have a couple of options. You can do the buy and hold option, which I think is actually pretty darn cool. I do it a lot myself. You are buying low and then in an area that is increasing in value, and then eventually you're going to sell for capital appreciation. There's a couple ways you can do that. I'll explain them as we go on. You can also buy something and rent it out. So if you buy a condo, single family home, you may be able to advertise yourself on a website like VRBO or Airbnb, HomeAway, or have a property management company handle that for you. Or you can buy vacant land, build your own home, and become a developer. So you have those different types of ways of investing, but there are some very unique ways that are peculiar to Belize that you can buy and invest and guarantee yourself a 10% continuous ROI stream. Now, to explain how this works, let me just first of all explain how the local bank lending terms work in Belize. First of all, if you came to me and said, Dennis, I want to buy a property, but I don't have all the cash I need, so I need a loan. Can I get a loan for property in Belize through my bank in the US or Canada? The answer is no. Banks in the US and Canada do not loan for properties outside of those countries. The reason is, what are they going to do with a house or land or a condo if they get it back? So they just don't do it. You could get a home equity loan. That's fine because whatever you do with the cash is up to you. So home equity loans are fine, lines of credit. You could cash in other investments. But if those options aren't available to you, then you need to look at local bank lending terms here in Belize. Now, banks such as Belize Bank, Atlantic, Choice, they will loan on properties at these terms. Notice on the bottom of the slide, 40 to 50% down payment, 10 to 11, actually that's more like 10 to 12% interest rates, and they have very short amortizations. So none of this, 20, 25, 30 years that we're used to in the States. So imagine what this does to the pool of buyers. Looking at these terms, most people don't have this kind of cash laying around to invest in a property in Belize. Let me just kind of run through a scenario with you. Here is an actual listing for sale. It's an oceanfront condo, second floor unit, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, on the market for $300,000. If you need financing, you need a down payment of $120,000. Your stamp tax is 5% of the purchase price, so $14,500. Your closing cost is another 1 to 2%. So $4,500, and then you have bank fees or points of another $4,500. So your total out-of-pocket cost, if you were to buy this condo using bank financing, is $143,500. Then on the balance, you're going to pay 10% interest. So I have had a few people, I'm talking very few, use bank financing for purchases like this. But in general, it scares people off. They just don't really want to invest this kind of money at these terms. So what they would generally look for is someone selling a condo or a home or something like that, offering owner carry financing terms. This is where the seller becomes the bank. And the most common terms we have here in Belize to do that with are what we call the 10-10-10 program. 10% down is what they require. They charge 10% interest. and they'll give a 10-year AM or a 10-year balloon. Now, this opens up the opportunity for many, many more buyers to get into the game, because think about it, a lot more people have 10% of 300,000 than have 40 or 50% of 300,000. It's a win-win because the seller is still able to sell their property and have a much better chance of getting full asking price for it because he has opened up the possibility for more people to buy. So he's happy. He also becomes the bank. So now he's making 8, 9, 10% on the note itself, and the buyer's happy because the buyer was able to buy something that he couldn't normally buy otherwise. So this is a win-win for the seller and the buyer, and the seller, he now has an ongoing 10% revenue stream because he became the bank. Now, another thing you can do in this system is use IBCs as a form of tax minimization and wealth protection. I'll kind of go into those in a little bit, but just to put this in your mind again, if you're a buyer or a seller, look in Belize for these types of owner carrying or developing financing scenarios where you can come into the market and put a low down payment, pay 10% interest, which seems high, again, by US standards, but it's not. It's actually well under what the local banks charge. And look for those who are willing to offer a longer amortization, 10, 20, 30 years. Maybe they have a balloon, maybe not. These are the type of scenarios that I look for my clients. So you might say, well, how can I get in the game doing this? Well, first of all, it's not rocket science. It's actually pretty easy. The contracts to purchase property like this are extremely simple in Belize. You'll do more paperwork buying a TV from Best Buy than you will buying property in Belize. It's actually very, very easy. So this is how you get started. Number one, let me know how much money you have to invest. The minimum required amount is $3,000 down. Anywhere from $3,000 to $100,000 is what you need to get in the game and invest in Belize. Number two, let me know what your goals are for immediate goals and in the future. So what you buy today might be very different from what you want to own 5, 10, 15 years from now. But in any event, look for areas that are opening up that are in the path of progress. And then look for a starter property. Don't feel that you need to go all in. Now, this is what I do for a living. I'm a real estate agent with REMAX, so I make money when I sell property. However, I'm also very careful with my own money, and I only invest in things that I consider to be no-brainers, good deals, and I encourage my clients to do the same. Test the waters. Don't go all in. Start off with a smaller property, a cheaper property. Get comfortable with investing in Belize, and then go from there. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. I've invested in projects like this, and in fact, this exact one myself. Look for areas in the path of progress. For instance, new subdivisions that are opening up on Ambergris Caye. Why Ambergris Caye? Long story, but to make the story short, that is where the majority of the growth and investment dollars in tourism is taking place in the country of Belize. Look for new subdivisions that are opening up, that are establishing new areas. Now, in this particular one, prices are starting at $30,000 per lot. The lots are 75 feet by 75 feet, so large by island standards, maybe not so large by U.S. standards, but certainly big enough to build a single-family home on. Many of my clients who are buying these are buying 2 side-by-side lots because it gives them the opportunity to maybe have a little bit larger home or a garden or a caretaker's cabin. This subdivision is located in the path of progress, means it's on this east-west connection road, and that's really important. If you're familiar at all with the island, you know that there's only one road that connects the east to the west sides, and a lot of development is taking place along with that road. Along with the road is bringing access to the west side beaches of Ambergris Bay, which are absolutely beautiful. It's going to be bringing power into this area, and what's nice about it is it's already in close proximity to other major developments. And I'll go through those in a little bit. But here's a nice picture. You see that white line that goes from San Pedro town there where the yellow star is up toward the top of the slide? That white line represents the northern road that was recently paved. So you can drive from San Pedro town, a nice concrete paved road, all the way up 3.5 miles north, and then you take a left or you go west and you hit this subdivision of Grand Mayan Estates, the one that I'm talking about right now with lots for 30,000. And from there, you go just another mile and a half over, and you see the beautiful crystal clear waters of Ambergris Bay. So the Grand Mayan Estates is located right there, right along this beautiful open San Pedro Lagoon waterway. That's a great waterway to explore wildlife, birds, all sorts of neat things in those waters. You can fish in there. And that lagoon opens up all the way to the ocean on the east and the waters of Ambergris Bay on the west. And so really this location is perfect for a what I would call a starter properties, a way to get in the game, to test the waters, because the lots are cheap enough, it's in an area of progress, and it can be good for investment. You can use these lots to build a retirement or vacation home on in the future, and it's just a really, really beautiful area. Now here is a subdivision map. The lots in red have sold. The lots in light blue are commercial lots, and the lots in yellow and orangish are residential. Those are the ones we have left. And let me know if you're interested in this. I'll make some recommendations on which one I feel are the best. But again, I was going to go back to this point. These subdivision is located about a mile, mile and a half for some of the most well-known developments in the country of Belize. Cocoa Beach, one of the top rated resort properties in the country of Belize. Cocoa Beach. Another one is Las Terrazas, Belizean Shores, Mata Chica, Benicia del Caribe. All of these are major resorts that attract thousands of tourists a year. And from Grand Mayan, a golf cart ride to these places takes about 5 minutes. And of course, you have access to grocery stores, cafes, world-class restaurants. So it really does put you in a very unique part of the island. Here's a slide that I like. It's looking from sort of west to east. So towards the top part of the island, you can see I have labeled there the Caribbean Sea. It's on the east side. You can barely make out the reef line. That's where all the snorkeling, diving, fishing takes place. And then you get a very clear view of that east-west connection road that's coming from the east side beaches all the way over to Ambergris Bay. The large subdivision that you see all the roads in there, that's Grand Belizean Estates. That's a 1,100 lot subdivision that sold out. Took us about 36 months to sell that out, but all the lots are sold. And now just to the east of there, you can just see that the roads are starting to be cut in Grand Mayan. That's a lot further along now. I believe the roads are almost complete there. And then on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you see the beautiful waters of Ambergris Bay. Look at how clear those are. There's no seagrass over there. There's no trash. It's an absolutely beautiful part of the island for swimming, for sunsets. And then off in the distance, you see a tiny little island called Cayo Rosario. That's a 10-acre island. If you're in the market for that, it's $4.5 million, and I'd be happy to represent you in that purchase. And you can buy that island and live like a rock star or like Richard Branson. Get your own Necker Island. And what you can't see, because it's a little bit blurry in this picture, is just behind that island is Blacador Key, Leonardo DiCaprio's island, which he just announced recently that he will be breaking ground on that island. And if you want to know more about that, check out my YouTube channel, and I've done a full 1-hour presentation on what Leonardo is doing for the country of Belize and how that is affecting property values. So pretty exciting there. Here is another aerial photo of this area of progress. You see the Grand Mayan subdivision highlighted in yellow. San Pedro town there is up toward the top of the screen in that yellow oval. And then you can see that east-west connection road. And again, that beautiful open San Pedro Lagoon waterway. I'm telling you, the island is so flat that if you build up just 1 or 2 stories on one of those lots in Grand Mayan, you have just incredible views. Imagine, being up 30 feet, 34 feet in the air and just overlooking that lagoon, seeing the ocean. Absolutely stunning property. So again, a lot of people ask, how do I get started? Well, number one is let me know your personal investment philosophy and what your goals are. If you're buying for investment, for retirement, for vacation home, let me know, because what I recommend for you might be different than what you might be thinking right now. So let me know what your thoughts are. The next thing you can do is let me know how much cash you have to invest. So if you have $3,000, you can pick up a single lot. If you have $6,000, a double lot. If you're an investor and you can afford a $30,000 down payment, then you can pick up multiple lots and get a pretty substantial discount. So let me know on that. And the monthly payment per lot is only $278 a month. So remember, I started off this webinar telling you that you can probably own property in Belize for less than you're paying for your car payment right now. That $278 a month is easily ran on a credit card automatically every month, and it's all inclusive. It includes all of your IBC renewal fees. It includes your interest, includes your principal. It's all inclusive, $278 a month. And the best thing I like about it, it's an open mortgage. So it's a 30-year AM open mortgage, which means, let's say today you buy a lot, you put $3,000 down, and you start making payments of $278 a month. What you can do at any time is pay off the balance, and there's no prepayment penalty. So if you use the financing for a year, 5 years, 10 years, use the financing for however long you need it for, pay off the lots when you're ready, put you in full control. I've done the same with my personal purchases here. So congratulations. All right, you're doing it. You got in the game. You started off, you took my advice, you didn't go all in, but you felt comfortable testing the waters, and the next thing you know, dun, 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 the tax man cometh. So I guess that wasn't really scary music, but I'm not a very scary guy. So here's what I advise my clients to do. Pay any taxes you owe. Do not hide or falsify any information with the IRS, but work within your legal means to minimize your tax burden and absolutely protect your assets. I forgot who it was who said it. One of the big tax companies has said, you have to pay your taxes, but no one says you have to leave a tip. All right, so that's the way I feel. I pay all my taxes to the IRS, but I definitely don't leave any tips. The best way to do this is by holding property in an IBC, which is a simple company, much like you would have a LLC in the United States. So if you're a property owner in the LLC in the States, perhaps you have a little apartment building or some rentals, you probably own those in an LLC. Very, very similar to what I recommend clients do in Belize, is that instead of holding title in your personal name, hold the title in an IBC, which is simply an offshore company. We use Anguillan IBCs in Belize because Belize has a reciprocating agreement with Anguilla. The laws are the same. They recognize each other's company structures. So most of our titles are held in Anguillan IBCs. And the reason you want to do this is because of these 5 reasons. IBCs offer you protection from lawsuits. They offer you privacy, simplicity of ownership, simplicity of transferring of title. They help you to minimize your taxation, and they offer asset protection. Here is one example of how all this works. I'll go through this quickly because I noticed I only got about 8 minutes left here. You form, and this is for real estate investors who are going to be dealing with me buying multiple properties. If you're going to buy 1 or 2 properties, you don't have to go through this, but it's good for you to know anyway. So number 1, open up an offshore bank account at Belize Bank and open that up in a Belizean or Anguillan IBC as a holding company, a company that is going to hold your properties and do business in Belize. So that's what you see in the blue box. Then you start to look for different deals. So you might buy a condo, a piece of land, another piece of land. So now you have 3 properties, but each of these properties are owned by a separate Anguillan IBC. Now the reason you do this is for several fold. First of all, you protect your wealth, because it's very, very difficult if you're being sued for people to actually get to those properties, to find out about them, to actually find them, and to foreclose on them. So it offers you asset protection, it protects your wealth, protects your investment. But also then, as you start to do business in this structure, as you buy and sell the condo or get rental income from it, as you buy and sell the lands, all of those funds are simply recirculated back into your holding company. And as such, you can keep doing business with those funds, allowing them to grow in a what could be a tax-free environment. And remember, you're only paying taxes to the U.S. government as you personally draw funds out of that company. So dividends or personal wages or salaries. So this structure works very, very good if you're looking at buying several properties. If you are, email me and we can go into depth on this a little bit more. All right, so today's information, I covered a lot, and let me grab a little sip of water here. My throat's getting dry, and then I'll continue. I covered, and hopefully you now appreciate even more so why people are buying in Belize. Perhaps you learned something regarding this, why what you needed to know before going offshore. I covered some of the important aspects of investing in a country that isn't your own, how to invest in Belize. There are several ways to do this. Personally, I invest my money into vacant land. I find it's low maintenance, low upkeep, low taxes. I don't have to worry about insurance, somebody damaging a rental property. I found it very, very easy to make a profit dealing in vacant land. And also, I've talked about how to use IBCs for tax minimization and asset protection. So now, I've asked you all along to enter your questions as we go, and I really appreciate that. As I said, I don't get to them live because they are a distraction, but they are important to me. So now what I've done is over the past, several months that I've been giving these webinars, several years actually, I have accumulated what are the most commonly asked questions on a webinar. So I'm going to cover through a few of these now. Number one, are these lots ready to build on? The ones that I recommend. Yes, absolutely. They are all individually titled. Subdivision has cleared the approval process in the lands department. They are all surveyed, so they have their fee simple title. They're able to be transferred now, and they are build ready. What will normally happen is when a person goes to build, their builder will come in with a bulldozer or a ripper. They'll completely clear cut the lot. Every tree, scrub, bush, everything is cleared. They will rip it, bring in a couple loads of gravel, dirt, build the home, and then after plant fast-growing palm trees, bougainvillea, other tropical foliage to really green it up. And with the tropical climate we have, yards get green and beautiful just within a few years. So what I tell people is, yes, the lots are ready to build on, but don't choose a lot or a property based on how it looks, because to be honest, a lot might look kind of ugly. It might have some scraggly old trees on it, but it doesn't matter because all of that will be wiped clean anyway. Even if you do have some nice trees on your lot, most likely they're going to be bulldozed anyway and removed in order to build your house on. So there you go. How can I get to home built on these lots? That's a good question. You can build a home yourself. So if you're a builder, I have a client right now who's on the island as we speak. He's a contractor in the States. He feels very comfortable coming down to Belize, buying his own materials, hiring some day laborers. He's building his own house. You can do that if you want. You can use a builder on the island. I recommend Dennis and Wayne Alfaro. They're a father and son team. I've had really good experiences with them. Armando Graniel is a father and son team also who have built a lot of condos, homes, cabins on the island and other islands surrounding Ambergris Key. You can contract with them to build your home, or you can work with them to do certain aspects. That's not easy to do. And it kind of leads us nicely to the next question. Do I have to build in a certain amount of time? No. And that is one of the reasons why I'm so bullish on these lots. You can buy now not even being 100% sure what you're going to do with them. So you're not locked in, you're in control. I own at least a dozen, about a dozen and a half lots in this area, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. I might build a rental property on them, a condo complex. I might just hold them for sale in the future. I don't know. But I have the option to decide when and if I want to build. And you have that same option. So you might be saying to yourself, well, I'm young. I'm only 25 or 30. I might pick up a few lots, but I don't know if I want to retire in Belize or build anything. Fine. You don't have to. Go ahead, get in the game, buy the investment anyway, and then figure it out as you go along. You're not going to go wrong with property on a Caribbean island. This puts you in the driver's seat. Next question. Do the properties have access to power, water, phone, internet? Yes and no. And here is where the investment opportunity comes in. Remember, if you are buying a piece of property where everything around it is 100% in, all the services and amenities are there, then there is no more room for growth. You're going to be paying top dollar. So I look for properties in the path of progress. Now, power, there are some power poles in the area. BEL, our local electric company, will be installing power to this part of the island. 100% positive that is going to happen. The reason is there's about 2,000 property owners in the area who want to build homes, and they will build homes once power gets there. People are going ahead now and building homes using solar and wind. They're building off the grid, and it works very, very well in Belize. However, at some point in the future, power will absolutely have to come across. Now, that is why the roads have been installed. That is why infrastructure is being pumped into this part of the island for growth. So when power comes, guess what? All properties see a major, major heist in price. If you were to buy a property right now, in and around San Pedro town that already has power, then you're looking at spending at least 60, 75, $80,000 for a smaller lot. And that's what's going to happen to these lots when we have power. Now, as far as phone internet, those are already accessible because you have cell phones and cellular internet that work very well in this part of the island. And water is achieved for most residents of Belize by simply catching rainwater off the roofs. We use rainwater cisterns, either incorporating them into the base of our homes. And if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll send you some details on that. Or you get your usable water by digging a well and running it through an RO system or a filter system, and that works just fine. There we go. How about this question? What kind of title do these lots have? These lots have fee simple title, the same type that I showed you in the earlier slide. So they are 100% transferable and privately owned by you, by the buyer, and you have 100% property rights as an owner of property in Belize. Next question, how do I make payments? This is true of most any property. The down payment for a smaller deal like these lots, the $3,000 down, most of my clients make on a credit card. They get miles anyway for it, so they just fill out a credit card authorization form, $3,000 down, and then the monthly payments are ran automatically, the $278 a month. Those are just ran automatically, and if you ever want to update to see how your account's doing, simply email the office and ask for a balance, and they'll email you a complete spreadsheet. What you can also do too is something I recommend is if once or twice a year you have some extra funds on hand, go ahead and call the office and say, look, Eduardo, my contact there is Eduardo. Say, Eduardo, run another $1,000 on my card this month and apply it all to the principal on my loan. And that way you just chunk it down. You can do that at any time, and once in a while you can make larger payments if you want, or you can make larger monthly payments. So let's say you get a nice raise at work, and now you say, you know what, I'm going to spend $350 a month on these lots, and now I just want to bump up my monthly payment and reduce the balance even quicker. So pretty easy, and again, put you in the driver's seat. Next question. We are running out of time. That's all right. Are foreigners allowed to own property outright in Belize? Yes. I covered that earlier. If you need to, go back and review that. What are the closing costs in Belize? I covered that also on that one slide. The closing costs are 1 to 2%. However, on these lots, the closing costs are $1,000 per lot. However, that is paid when the lot is paid off. So if you're buying a lot for cash, it's $30,000 plus $1,000 for closing costs. If you're buying with financing, it's $3,000 down, and you don't pay any closing costs until the lot is completely paid off. Number 3, do I have to be in the country to buy or sell property? No. As I said before, 50 to 60% of my clients have never been to Belize before, but there is enough credibility that I've established online and with RE/MAX and with hundreds of clients that I've worked with in the past several years to establish the fact that I'm a real person, my company is real, this is not a scam, this is not an internet scam, these are real. You can actually see these lots, video, Google Earth, I mean everything, this is real, and I can provide you more information if you're interested. Are squatters a concern in Belize? Next question. Nope. Belize has very strict anti-squatting laws. We don't have that issue here. So if you buy a lot, you don't have to worry that you'll come down in 5 or 10 years and have somebody living on it. Is insurance available if I build a home? Absolutely. We have something called all perils insurance, which covers your home in any sort of disaster. Flood, hurricane, plane crash, earthquake, fire, doesn't matter, and it's very, very reasonable. For instance, in the condo at Royal Palms, where Steph and I lived for many years, I think the insurance on that runs about $1,400 US a year. That's for full coverage on a $250,000 condo. So very, very reasonable. What is the weather like? Absolutely beautiful most of the year. Crappy when there's a lot of rain. The good news is we don't get a lot of rain like we do on the mainland, but there is somewhat of a rainy season. The one thing I'll be 100% honest with you on is if we get a lot of rain 3 or 4 days in a row, I don't like the mosquitoes. But fortunately, that doesn't happen a lot. I'll give you an example. We get 55 inches of rain a year on Ambergris Key, whereas parts of the mainland get 240 inches a year. So big, big difference. Tell me about healthcare. Great question. We're out of time. Healthcare is great in Belize. I have a PDF on that. I will send you that if you email me your name and email address, and I will give you an update on healthcare. Not only is the healthcare good, but you can also get insurance in Belize, which my wife and I have, and very, very reasonable. Anyway, we're out of time. I'd like to thank you very much. I'd like to just end with this slide. You came to the webinar today most likely because you have a dream of owning property in Belize. And if you made it this far, no doubt you're probably pretty interested. The problem is the dream becomes a goal when action is taken toward achieving it. And what I want to see you do is not just have the dream, but actually pull the trigger, get in the game. It doesn't take a lot to do that, especially if you buy a starter property, something like these lots. Again, this doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to decide today that you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a home or retirement home or anything. But what you can do is get in on the ground floor, get yourself an investment property. A rising tide floats all boats, and this will be a great way to enter the game, get your feet wet, and then decide if you want to invest further. So thanks a lot. I appreciate you attending today. This has been Dennis K with Remax Southwind. The beautiful island of Ambergris Key awaits you, and I hope to hear from you soon. Cheers.